If you're somebody that wants to work on a little bit more core stability, don't use the pad. Remember, when we're using a pad, we want to be able to grab without overstressing or straining the back. Don't consume so much water at one time. Seat adjustment is everything, as well as how you maximize the pad to the chest. You do want the pad on the chest, but you don't want it this far. So for example, if you can tell I can't grab this, that means the pad is a little too far for me. So what I would do is I would adjust it. Like I said, these are great ways to actually develop and build more, well, I would say better form and better technique as well. That's why I'm a big advocate on using machines in general. And it's an easier way for me to actually load the body without having to work on a lot of stability each and every time. Like I said, some of these exercises are going to help with stability, and some of these aren't. You're not going to use stability at all. That's another reason why I like certain machines. Certain machines require stability, certain machines don't at the end of the day. Like I said before, all machines aren't created equal. But one thing we're going to do today is we're actually not going to use the pad first. We're going to wait on the pad. I'm going to use the pad when I get heavier with the weight, and I'm going to start off with bottom. We're going to do 10, and then I'm going to do top with the 10. Make sure core nice and tight. Make sure your glutes are stabilizing and you're not rocking with those feet. Squeeze the back as much as you can. And same thing once again, we're pulling through the elbows. I'm warming up the first few sets. Some machines, I do like the fact that they ISO, but in this case, I love the fact that this is dual. Like I said, if you're somebody that wants to work on a little bit more core stability, don't use the pad. If you're somebody that wants to go up with a little bit more weight without having to work on form, without having to really work on a lot of core and stability, then use the pad. As we go up, like I said, I'm gonna do 2 filler sets for each exercise. So it's gonna look like I'm doing a total of 5 sets. I'm gonna do 2 filler sets just to kind of see how the body feels. In this particular case, because I didn't warm up, I'm going to do anywhere between 10 to 20 reps, depending on how I feel. When I go up with the weight, I'm not looking about maxing the weight, going super heavy, because like I said before, I've already trained back this week. So what I wanna do, I just wanna put some blood in the back, I wanna stress it out to get a little bit more work put in, because I haven't done a lot of back exercises. So you're not gonna see me crank a bunch of weight today. This is gonna give you different ways that you can actually break down the body and achieve the results that you're looking for. But do understand, you can use the pad, you cannot use the pad. Going from there, just make sure your seat adjustment is adjusted properly. This time around, I'm actually gonna go up a little bit more. I feel like this is gonna be a little bit better for me, mainly with my foot drive and everything. So at the end of the day, make sure you kind of play with the adjustments to get what you want from the machine. And then check this out, we're going right back to it. Remember, pull through the elbows. You wanna focus on pulling through the elbows. Abs should be nice and tight, chest should be nice and tall, and boom, let's get it. Don't forget about that breathing. Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. You need oxygen in those muscles, yo. You're not breathing, you can fatigue a lot faster. Man, it feels good. And I ain't even using a lot of weight, that's the crazy part. So when it comes down to actually using a pad, do be mindful of this. Remember, when we're using a pad, we want to be able to grab without overstressing or straining the back. So right here is still a little too far for me. I'm gonna bring it into about a setting of 4. See how that feels. This is perfectly good for me. Because the biggest thing is when you drop the weight, you want to be able to easily let the weight down without having to tuck in like this. That's gonna strain the back, mainly if it's a point that we're using a substantial amount of weight. So I always say, practice with your light and moderate weight as if it's already heavy. Because you're gonna take some of these techniques from the lighter and heavy weight, from the lighter and moderate weight, you're gonna use some of those same techniques when it comes down to lifting the heavy weight. So my biggest thing is always approach each and every exercise as if it's heavy ass weight. Because at the end of the day, you're already mentally adjusted to what you should be doing in that scenario, more so than you having to strain an area or overstress an area because you weren't set up properly. So just make sure the machine and everything is set up properly so we can avoid a lot of that stuff. Because I try to get y'all to understand, it only takes that one injury. It only takes that one injury. Trust me when I say that. You think shit's sweet, blah, 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 you do what you do, it only takes that one injury. But at the end of the day, now we're done with the filler sets. This is actually gonna be the working sets. Each working set at this point, I'm going to use the pad. That's wanted to make sure the pad was set up properly. I like to do it between like 1, maybe 3 reps just to make sure it's set up just the right way before I actually start loading my body with the weight. But we about to get into it again. So I think I'm gonna bring it to 7, nothing too crazy. Remember, today is more so time under tension. Abs nice and tight, don't drop that chest. Some of y'all like doing this and then go like this. No, don't, keep the chest tall, break the back down. There we go. And remember, pull through the elbows. I'm gonna go up a little bit more because I did 12 and I'm trying to shoot for 10. So if you have a rep range that says 3 sets of 10, do me a favor, try to make sure the weight is applicable to 10. Not meaning that you should be able to do 15, you should be able to do 20. If you're able to do 12, that's just an indicator that you should increase the weight a little bit, but be careful with increasing the weight a little too much, because now you can put yourself in a position of only doing 8, mainly if the recommended was 10. So do be mindful of that, because everybody's endurance is built different. Me personally, I'm big on endurance. I'm a king of endurance when it comes down to it. You ain't gonna outwork me, know that. So I'm gonna increase it just a little bit. In this case, remember, the pen is gonna be probably 20 pounds, sometimes 15, depending on what gym you are. My favorite, which is the funniest, is when you get the machines that say 1, 2, 3, 4, because those weights are significantly different at the end of the day. So if you got a gym and you notice that with the plates it says 1, 2, 3, 4, be very careful when you go to 5. 5 is like 100 or something like that. So just be mindful of those little things. I try to get y'all to understand that each and every machine is built different. Every machine is not the same. It's not gonna give you the same feel. That's why the brands are different. This is a Lifetime machine, so it's not too bad. But basic machine, something that's generally like at all types of gyms. But if you know, you know. My favorite machine of all times is without a doubt Hoist. I love how it's easy for you to be able to keep tension in the muscle while you're training without having to worry about straining ligaments, tendons, and joints. Because the objective is, while it rocks, it helps assist to keep the tension in the muscle so you can really break it down the way that you want. I told y'all, if you watched my last video, leg extensions is one of my favorite machines to actually load weight on without having to worry about unnecessary tension on the patella and on the knee itself when you're actually doing leg extensions. Because remember, the knee is vulnerable in that particular motion. That's another reason why I'll tell y'all, keep it real light. But we're gonna talk about that another day. Let's get back to it. So one thing, if you've noticed, within this last 2 months, I've been keeping it fairly light. I haven't been using a lot of belts or anything to that nature. But do make sure, if you're somebody that's going super heavy with the weight and you're a little conscious about lower back safety, also do understand that when you're wearing a belt, the beautiful thing about a belt is it actually helps keep the tension and make sure you stabilize the core at the end of the day. So belt does serve a couple different purposes. But make sure you adding some of this gearing, mainly if you're somebody that's training at an intense level. It's okay to use wrist wraps. It's okay to use straps to load a little bit more weight when it comes down to the forearms giving out. It's okay to wear belts, but you shouldn't use this on an everyday scenario. This is another reason why I say sometimes kind of scale back from all of that stuff. I haven't used any of that stuff in about 2 months now. So when I actually start getting into the peak of me lifting a lot heavier, mainly when my body is able to consume a little bit more food, because I've trained my body to kind of not eat as much right now. I told you I scale back a lot. Like right now, believe it or not, man, I'm 158. I'm 158. We only eating twice a day. We focusing on hydration like crazy. I'm big on a smoothie a day. We do a green smoothie. Then we do a fruit-based smoothie every day. And then going from there is just eating twice. And then going from there is making sure I'm hydrated throughout the day, not consuming so much water at one time. A lot of y'all need to stop that. Don't consume so much water at one time. So if you're somebody that has a gallon of water and you wake up at 6 o'clock and then you crush your gallon of water by 10 o'clock, do understand you really just gonna piss a lot of that water out. The body didn't have enough time to actually absorb it. So make sure you're spacing out your water intake. What I like to do is every hour, like a bottle of water, maybe 2 bottles of water. Before you know it, you'll be able to knock out your 10 to 12 bottles of water, mainly if you're somebody that's struggling with water, with ease. Space it out, don't overconsume so much in one time. And a great way to know if you're overconsuming water is the indicator of your urine, the color. If it's clear, 9 out of 10, you're just pissing out water in reality. If it's a little yellow, you're moving in the right direction. If it's a point that is extremely yellow, do understand you need to hydrate your body. So do be aware of that, because hydration is very key when it comes down to training. A lot of y'all like coming into these workouts dehydrated, not understanding that you being dehydrated, once again, increases the chance of you being injured. So make sure you're properly hydrating the body so that way you can maximize your results and you can reduce the chance of you being fatigued or you're fatiguing yourself when it comes down to tackle a lot of these exercises. Like I said, a lot of y'all love coming in here doing that, and I don't recommend it at all. You feel me? I don't recommend that. But let's get back to it. Remember, we ain't crazy heavy with the weight. Right now we're at 140. That's what we're gonna cap out at. This is gonna be the last set on this. Coming right here. Remember, chest nice and tall. Make sure you grip as tight as you can. Your foot placement should be nice and solid. And pull. Whew, that felt good. Only needed 10, we're gonna leave it at that. Now we're moving on to the next.